Hello and welcome to your $1,400 stimulus check and stimulus package update. So we have a very eventful 10 to 14 days ahead of us regarding the next stimulus bills. We're going to talk about what needs to happen to get this stimulus bill passed in the next 10 to 14 days before the unemployment boost deadline. And we're going to talk about a $10,000 stimulus check proposal that I thought that was really interesting, brings up some interesting points, and you might have some conflicting feelings about it. So just jumping right in, just as a very brief recap, the House has passed their $1.9 trillion stimulus bill on Friday. Well, late Saturday at like 2 a.m. if you want to be specific. After an entire day of debate and a whole lot of C-SPAN watching, that thing was passed, $1.9 trillion. It was very similar to what we saw coming up to that, stimulus checks, unemployment boost, things like that. But there still is a bit of a process ahead of us in order to get this thing passed. So from here, it's going to go to the Senate, where it will need to pass with budget reconciliation with 51 votes in the Senate. Now, it won't hit 51 votes. It will need 50 votes and then a tiebreaker from Kamala Harris. And with this, it's a little bit more complicated than that because the House decided to keep in the minimum wage increase to $15 per hour after the Senate parliamentarian already deemed that should not be part of any budget reconciliation bill in the Senate. So the process we're seeing right now is this will be sent to the Senate. It'll be debated on and voted on sometime likely in the next 7 days, potentially even sooner, maybe 3 or 4 days, depending on how quickly they can get this thing in. However, they will absolutely tweak this bill, at least in the minimum wage department, and send it back to the House. And then the House will have to vote on and debate on this bill again, and then it will be sent to the president's desk to be signed into law, all before the 14th of March when unemployment boost expires. So there's going to be a lot of action here, like I said, in the next 2 weeks, and I think it probably will go right up to the 11th hour. We're talking like maybe the 12th of March at the earliest to get this thing passed, but the likelihood that we'd see it passed is extremely high. Now let's talk about this other stimulus proposal that I wanted to highlight. So some are calling this a troll proposal, but you can decide whether it makes sense or it has legs or what the intentions are or not. So during the late night voting Friday or Saturday morning at 2 a.m., Republican Representative Paul Gosar, he submitted an amendment to the $1.9 trillion stimulus bill. And this amendment placed a very high priority on stimulus checks to individuals at an amount of $10,000 per person. I'm not kidding. That's not like a clickbait number. He literally wanted $10,000 per person stimulus checks without increasing the total package size. So to do that, you have to decrease funding for other things. He did this for 2 reasons. The first reason was to highlight the items that he felt shouldn't be in this stimulus bill. So his proposal cut out spending in 10 different areas he thought just simply were not COVID or stimulus related areas. And here's a direct quote from him just so you can get the words directly from him. He said, "I offered an amendment to prioritize $10,000 stimulus checks to Americans most affected by COVID-19 and lockdowns. Instead, Democrats chose foreign aid, big tech transit, and Pelosi's political priorities over direct relief to American citizens." Now, of course, there's some hot buzzwords in there that some people might not like, but that's a direct quote from him. I just try to keep this as unbiased as possible. So his amendment addresses a concern that many citizens have. According to him, only 20% of the spending in the $1.9 trillion bill addresses COVID challenges. Now, it's hard, the line isn't completely clearly defined what is COVID related, what's stimulus related, and what's not. So of course, this is, according to him, we're going to present the other side as well. So first, that amendment was made just to highlight the areas he didn't like the spending on. And then he made that amendment for a second reason, and this is because he stated, and I'm paraphrasing here, that if we're going to spend this much money, it should go to people to help pay for things like the rent, mortgage, car payment, food, entertainment, whatever they want to spend that money on. Now, of course, this sentiment is hard to disagree on. If we're going to do stimulus, let's stimulate the people we're trying to stimulate without using the word stimulate too many times like I just did. But many have said that he simply made this proposal to be a bit of a troll and stir the pot, knowing that the proposal didn't have legs and it was a non-starter to all Democrats who just simply didn't vote to pass the amendment through. Now, you can decide what his true intentions are here, but I thought it was interesting enough to at least present that was a potential option at least. And this all does present an interesting question as well. Would the country be better off in the long run if we were all just simply given cash equal to whatever, that stimulus bill is divided by the number of people, whatever that comes out to? I don't know what it would be, $15,000, $25,000 per person. Now, the father of economics, Adam Smith, would likely say that this is the best way to do things. His invisible hand theory states that free markets and individual selfishness drives the best possible outcome. His theory would likely state, taking his theory and applying it to this, it would likely state that if we were all just given cash, individuals would spend it on things like food, rent, entertainment, and anything else that they want to spend it on. And by default, this would help churn the economic butter. I just made up that metaphor. Turn the economic butter and help businesses survive, help businesses hire more people, which in turns help more people spend more money at more businesses and hire more people, and, get the economic butter slicing and churning. Anyways, his invisible hand theory would say that's probably the best way to do it. However, there are counter theories that would say the opposite is better. A governmental system that decides the best way to allocate funding is the best way to do things. So there are opinions completely across the board here, and it's just a question worth mulling over and deciding, I wonder what the best possible outcome would be, because this could potentially help you if you're voting on something in the future to just have a more educated voting decision. So it's just something to think about. So that's going to do it for today. For this quick update, I would like to thank you for tuning in, and of course, have a profitable day.